It is another beautiful day and another dose of Did You Know? And with me today is Kid Kentucky. How lucky am I to hang out with these dudes? I'm feeling lucky. I don't know. Are you feeling lucky, guys?
Great. Yes. Fantastic.
All right. Tell the world a little bit about who Kid Kentucky is. Who wants to go? Who wants to have that honor?
Guess I'll start off. Kid Kentucky is a Kid Rock tribute. We play his music. I naturally favor Kid Rock, so we started this thing, and here we are today, and we're having fun doing it.
And so we have going from, I don't know what side of the screen it's on, but the one closest to me is Brian, Don, and Rob. Just so everybody knows who is behind the Kid Kentucky faces. But how did you guys get together? Like, how did you decide? And this is what we're going to do. First of all, Don, did you always, people think that you look like Kid Rock, or is this your favorite band, or what's your backstory?
Well, I've always been told I look a lot like him. And I thought, well, I'll dress up like him for some event sometime. I went to a couple of concerts and people were just like, oh my God, it's Kid Rock. And started having fun. I thought, well, you know, I've always had this musical talent. I thought, well, I'll play guitar a little bit. I've been in a few bands. Thought I'd do something, put a band together. So fast forward a few years down the road, I signed with exclusively with a promoter out of Nashville and Wisconsin. I won't mention their name. And so going forward, I was with those guys for a little bit, doing some stuff with local fairs and working with country artists. And I was trying to form my own band, get things off the ground slowly but surely. And I met Brian through that process. I met Rob through some other musicians that had the same, they were in tribute bands, and started put this thing together, and here we are, and we're having fun with it.
Well, what is that like? I mean, because to me, I'm listening, that sounds like a lot of work. You could go a lot of different ways. You know, how do you focus in that desire and that talent to be where you guys are now? Like, Brian, why did you be like, yeah, I'm going to hang out with this guy, Don and Rob? And how do you pick each other? Or does God just pick you? I don't know.
Well, a little of both, actually. You know, you can call it divine intervention by paths coming together and people meeting along the way. Don and I, like he said, we had a common agent when I was playing with another band and some friends of mine, and we ended up at a dinner together and sitting at dinner, hanging and having a great time. We ended up doing work together before we ended up doing music together, working on different production aspects and things like that. And then one day he's like, "Hey man, do you want to play some drums with me?" And I'm like, "Absolutely." Now, at the time, he had no idea that I never played a Kid Rock song in my life. and only really knew the radio hits. So, you know, Brian had to go to work. And, you know, it's been great. It's been a fantastic experience. We go out and see these Kid Rock fans in the audience. And, you know, we're not trying to pull any wool over anybody's eyes saying this is Kid Rock. But you know, there are times where out and people sure think it is. I mean, he's got some pretty dead giveaways that people find it hard to believe when he says he's not Kid Rock, and he always does. You know, everybody always asks, and then you look at him, you see him look at him like, I don't believe this dude. I think that really is Kid Rock. Don's, you know. He's got the Kid Rock attitude on stage, but he's humble off stage, and he's just like, no, I'm not Kid Rock.
So my biggest two questions that come to my mind, and you can answer them in any category you want to. Do the girls want to be with you just because they're like, oh, in some delusional way, I'm going to be with Kid Rock, so you could get luckier than normal? And I forgot the other one. Oh, is how do you? So you might want to answer that first.
What do you mean by lucky? What do you mean by lucky?
Oh, you know. Any person that you feel is lucky. Okay, but answer that one first. Then I'll come back to my second question.
I think that to answer that, we've not had that experience. We don't. Let's put it this way: there was one show where there was some shirts come off at a casino.
It happens.
It happens, and that's as far as that went.
That is, well, maybe, I don't know. I always think like sometimes girls, they get this like men in uniform. They don't care about the man part of it. It's just that whole persona of the man in uniform, and there's power. So I'm thinking, Kid Rock, hey, there might be girls throwing themselves at you just cause.
I'm going to pipe in here a little bit because remember I said he's humble off stage?
Yes.
Yes, there are plenty of girls that want to find their way to Kid Rock somehow, and if they can live vicariously through our boy here, it tends to happen. He does very good at taking care of that.
And that's true. Let's put it in perspective. There's Kraft cheese and there's Kroger cheese. So Kraft cheese is the real McCoy. I'm Kroger, but they don't care. They want cheese.
That's a good one. That is a good one.
It's a cheesy joke, but it's true.
And I don't know. So I like cheesy jokes though.
You're with the right bunch then.
We can be crafty.
Perfect. And we have the drums to go along with it. Well, what about okay, so I answered my girl question. I got that satisfied knowledge out of my head. Well, what about the band? Does the band ever, do you guys have to, I don't even know if you're married or not. So if you are, awesome, or with somebody, fantastic. But I don't know. I just think being in a band and things like that, again, I think people want to have that experience, or even guys, they want to hang out with guys in a band because it makes them cooler and things like that. Does that happen?
Why I'm in a band.
Like sift through a bunch of crap sometimes?
Sometimes, yeah.
I think there's a misconception, and I don't want to blow up the fantasy, but when we're doing a show, like let's say we would do a big show like at Mercury Ballroom, Louisville, Kentucky, which we played a couple of times. Huge stage, tons of people coming in there. What you're not really getting is the whole production of leading up to that moment that we're on the stage. It's not like partying. It's like we gotta get there. We gotta get all of our equipment set up. We gotta sound check. We gotta go through our in-ear monitors and make sure we can hear everything. And then we gotta play a couple of tunes, and then it's a lot of waiting. Sometimes we'll go out and we'll grab a pizza or find some beer somewhere, but it's a lot of waiting, and then it's waiting for the opening band, and then it's waiting for the equipment changeover if there is any, and then it's go up and rock, and by the time we're done, if we're playing a 90 or 120 minute show, we're pretty beat, because we just spent doing 90 minutes of intense cardio on the stage.
Yeah.
Jumping around.
Well, that just makes me feel so warm and fuzzy. You guys are, it kind of tells a little bit of who you are. Thank you for sharing the reality. You blew up my fantasy of what Rockstar is, but I'm okay.
Nothing but liquor and women all the time. It's ridiculous.
Well, there's a misconception of what rock stars do. That's a fantasy that a lot have if they're not in this position. But when you're in this position, and I'll probably speak for everybody in this band and everybody in this room, when you're in a position, you take it seriously because there are expectations. There's no room for error. There's a lot of hard work that goes behind it. Yeah, we're covering a successful artist who paid due to get where he's at. But we have to pay the same. We have to be in a rehearsal. We have to know the timing. We have to know the notes. We have to play it like it is. Whatever their band is doing, what he's doing, we're doing the same thing. The good news for him is that we're helping sell albums. Good news for us is we get to be a participant in doing something that is really awesome.
I love that. I always think when this is what it reminds me of. When you own a business and you're in it and your kids are in it, they're held at a higher standard than anybody else. And that's what I'm hearing from you. this is your profession. You hold this at a very high standard. You're not just going to go up there drunk off your butt and doing whatever. This is, you are committed to upholding the best that you can. That's awesome. I have to give a couple shout outs here. That Krista is watching and she loves you and you're very professional, Krista Dudley. Scotty Ray Morton says, hello, what's up?
Hey, Scott.
Some of my favorites, Travis, he's one of my guys, he is Oscar Mike Radio out of Boston. He's like, hello, good afternoon, everybody. And Brian, he's in Kentucky and he says, you guys need to check out Spillway Bar in Bowling Green as a possible venue. You've got requests being made.
Yeah, I'll look into that.
Yeah.
We should do that sometime.
We played there a few times.
Brian, they played there. You'll have to catch them when they're there. So I had to get all that out there.
That's awesome. Great to see people out there. People tuned in. Hello to everybody. It's
Yes.
great.
I miss people. There's other people on Instagram, and big shout out to all of them. I think Andrew's out there. So before, I want to take a little side note of my chitter chattering for a minute. And can you play me something that'll just knock me off my chair?
Yes, but this is a show we got to be clean though. So. No, we can play something here.
All right.
Hey, we're in Tennessee. We do Tennessee
Tennessee Mountaintop. 1, 2, 3.
Gonna climb out the highest mountain. Jump off, nobody's gonna know. Can't you see? Can't you see? What I've what you've been doing to me? Can't you see? Oh, can't you see what I've what you've been doing to me? Fall in love with an angel. Fall in love with an angel. Fall in love, fall in love, fall in love, with an angel.
Oh, I love it, guys. I've got my own like serenade. That's never happened before.
It has now.
Yes, yeah. So, you know, I'm sitting here, I'm listening, and you do like, and pretty, well, first of all, that must be really hard. I have two things. My mind's going a million miles a minute, but it must really be, is it hard to do this in the studio, like here, as opposed to being, you know, live on stage? Is it a whole different feeling for you?
Yes, so I think I'm gonna speak for everybody because we've had this conversation doing live stream stuff before. We enjoy here and there, but we would prefer having live audience. There's just something special about that. It's great to have people tuned in and live, but being able to see their faces, seeing them sing the songs and being involved it takes it to another level.
Yeah, the biggest difference is an energy feedback. Here we're doing more kind of our internal versions, kind of like what Rob was saying earlier, some of the work that goes into it. You know, we sit and practice these songs and learn these songs. So we're used to sitting in kind of an intimate environment like this. Like Don said, when we get out on stage and there's people in front and you got applause and energy and bras flying at you, I mean, you can't beat it.
Sorry, I couldn't give you that experience.
Well, you know, you were talking about being married earlier, so you know.
Yeah, you know, I do my best, but I have my limits and my limitations, my lines.
All respect.
Yeah. So how do you stay humble and not become a dick, basically?
Well,
Or maybe you are, but we can.
well,
I'm totally kidding. I'm totally.
Well, I mean, there's a time you have to be. Just put it this way: I've had some really drunk, obnoxious people approach me, off the stage, around our shows, and away from that. And you got to handle it. You got to be careful about certain things that you do and say because you are in the public eye of things, just like that artist is. You're portraying them. Now, Kid Rock punch him out? Sure, probably would. Would Kid Kentucky? If I was backed in a corner, I would feel compelled to do something. But I try to de-escalate situations and be a little more approachable and understand alcohol makes us do things we shouldn't do. A little bit of pass and forgive, if you will. But all in all, we don't have a lot of issues with that. There's a lot of people you said earlier that want to be, that want to hang out with us because they can't hang out with the real artists. And not all those times can we do that either, but we like to open the door and have people be a part of what we're doing at our shows and give them the best experience that we can.
Yeah, that is good. And do you guys find as musicians that some people do just want to hang out with you because you're a musician and maybe you've gotten burned by it or you've become a little bit, I want to say particular, but you're very careful about who you let in because I think in society, everybody wants something that they can't have, right? They want to feel, you know, up on bigger than they are. And sometimes people like that own restaurants or that are in your, you know, it's a higher power, a little bit of a higher power, because it's unique. Not everybody can be an artist. Not everybody can be in a band. It takes a very special gift and talent that you have. So do you find that sometimes you get burned by either like relationships or people?
Yes. No, actually,
Answer this question.
actually, right. Well, and there's something else that actually comes along with it. And I was actually just having this conversation over the weekend. There's a stigma that comes with it as well, that we're all just a bunch of dirtbags and we're running around and cheating on everybody. And while that may be true in some cases, that's not true in all cases. And it's kind of tough to there are definitely trust issues that you encounter, and coming and going. I mean, it's and I guess I can even say guilty in the other direction, where dating a other musician, where I'm wondering, is she doing the same thing? So there's another whole layer that comes on top of the whole thing by doing something where you're out in the public eye, and where people are, for lack of better terms, wanting to come see you just as a starting point, let alone just trying to meet somebody in a normal circumstance.
Yeah, I feel like you have to become even more vigilant in who you are, and keeping your ego at bay and being humble and dealing with any internal demons that you personally might have. I mean, we're humans, we all have them, because they can make you jaded or not see people for their truth,
Absolutely, 100%.
That brings up a good point, because for me, I turn this off. I mean, I try to look down. I know it sounds ridiculous. I don't always wear the hat. This is Kid Kentucky. There's the other side of me that I have to be, a family man. I do have kids. I do have a family. I do have a wife. And there are times where, I go in public and I get spotted. And you look like, they actually say, you like Kid Kentucky. You're in Kentucky, chances are you see Kid Rock look like it's him. But, it's becoming a norm, and I try to keep that away, because there's a side of me that has to be the artist when I'm on stage, and when I'm off the stage, I have to be committed to other obligations and priorities, And so with that being said, it almost sounds like you have to be a split personality, and that's not really the case. You just got to know how to control that. You talk about demons. I don't have those. I enjoy this. That's where the humbleness probably comes in, because for me, I enjoy doing this. This is a fun gig to do. We take it serious, but also know that there's other things that got to be serious at as well. And for this to be successful, the priorities have got to be there on the left in order to make the opportunities work on the right.
But don't you think it's kind of a fine balance between taking it seriously and doing it tongue in cheek, right? Because the bottom line is that, as you mentioned and we talked about, we're not Kid Rock. We're not Kid Rock's band. He's not Kid Rock. And we're out there trying to do a good job of the tribute. But the bottom line is that where are you before you start? What frame of mind are you in before you start? And what are your goals? And our goals, I think without exception, the guys in this band, we just like to play music. We love to play. Mm. Brian said he'd never played a Kid Rock song before he started playing with us. And I probably had played like one a long time ago in a different band. And it's not, I can't say that I've been, I don't hate Kid Rock. I've never really been a hardcore fan. I'm having so much fun playing this music, learning music, getting to play with these guys, and we've had a few people kind of in and out of this band, and, nobody's really been a bad person or like terrible to be around, but we've got a really good group of guys right now. Absolutely. That we love just being together, whether we're playing music or not. But when we get to play music, I think that's kind of what drives us all.
This is my second family.
Yeah. Well, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like I had this, I don't know, my own, perception of what you guys were going to be and what I was going to talk to you about and things like that. But you guys are like humans, and you have your own set of morals, and you uphold them. And which I should have known, because anybody Michelle ever says, Michelle Baxter, shout out to Michelle Baxter, ever introduced me to, I always love them. I love their soul, like right down to their itty bitty toes. So I don't know why I always am like, oh, wow, surprise, Danielle, kind of thing. But real one thing, I have one more question, because you brought it up before we kind of, I actually have two questions. Lie. Are your kids old enough to know that you are Kid Kentucky and this is what you do? Or are they babies?
They're adults.
I can't tell in those sunglasses and hats. You could have had a 2-year-old. I don't know.
Yeah, I try to stay like a kid, literally.
But do they think that's kind of, do they even, or is that just dad? Because like my mom, I don't know. People talk,
Well, my daughter, she's older. She's 24, and my son actually he's not really an adult yet. I might as well say he is. He's 17. Actually, he's going on 27. But he's musically inclined. He loves music. We don't have a setup such as this at home, but we have something somewhat close. But he likes to get in there and play around. He's going to do his own thing. But it's cool because there's a side of the priorities come into place. They're still a dad. If I got to punish him, he's not going to be like, I'm going to get, I'm a badass, and my dad's going to whoop me. It's not. I mean, especially at 17 anyway. But he just they don't need to correct it. They're good kids. They always have been, and they just think it's cool. Actually, they want to hang out with me a whole lot more. I'm like, no, I've done my part.
There you go. Right here, drop mic out.
No, they're cool. They're awesome. We all have a great relationship. A very good relationship.
I had to add, I didn't realize you had kids till you mentioned it, and I'm a mom, so I had to bring it up. Just my own curiosity kills the cat kind of thing. So before I ask if you play one more song to say goodbye to us, I ask everybody this question, and if you can be as honest, and the first thing that comes to your mind, don't change it, because there's 3 of you that have to answer. Don't change your answer because you liked what they said better. But right now, in this moment today, what does love mean to you?
He took my answer.
Commitment.
Someone else has to go. I heard from Dawn.
There's just so many things that can bring us joy in life, and it's the relationships that we have, whether it's family or friends. In a lot of ways, it's friends like that we have. I've got a good group of friends that I haven't really spent any time with, except for like this and video chats. So there's different levels. I've got a 10-year-old son. He's going to be 11, and I love him to bits. And I've got just got him 2 brand new little kittens, and we love those kittens to bits. And it's different. So I think that for me, love takes many forms, and let's just appreciate what we have, and it's important that we're good to other people. I don't care if people love me. I just want to make sure that when they leave, they don't go, oh man, that guy's a total a-hole. But if there's a small amount of love or compassion or charity or something that I can pass on to someone else, and hopefully they'll pass it on to someone else, and I'd love the world to be a better place than it is. And I think there's a lot of people trying to make that happen. And I think that's the key. And I think that's the root of it all, is just, how about loving other people the way maybe you love yourself? We all got to look out for number 1, but there's definitely the type of interactions that you have with other people can go a long way into making other people's days better.
So true. So true. Brian, you have to answer. Sorry, you're not getting out of it.
I'm not. Isn't time up? Don't we have a time limit here? Well, okay. So the first the first thing that comes to mind when I hear the word love is God and his touch on humanity and his place in our hearts and our souls. If you're asking about love, relationship-wise,
no, just in general, but you can answer that too. Go on.
well, that's, again, I think there's probably a time limit that you have set on your show, so we could all be here a week if we give the whole
Just
answer.
stick with your first answer.
Just the highlights.
Yeah.
Love, I mean, I'll just pick some adjectives, it's compassion, it's commitment, it's partnership, it's obviously desire, attraction, chemistry, connection. But it's camaraderie, it's having each other's back. It is devotion, and it's the greatest experiences that have ever come along are usually people-based. And when you're with someone, and it doesn't matter what you're doing, if you're sitting in a bar having drinks, if you're at a concert seeing a show, if you're sitting in your living room on the couch together, and you just are so excited to be with that other person doing absolutely everything or absolutely nothing at all. That's, to me, and everybody else has their own version of it.
Yeah.
But to me, when that connection is so strong that you don't even have to speak, and you just can't get enough of that other person. And it's a special moment that we all should encounter in our lives. But no, that's it.
I love it. And thank you guys for answering that. And don't feel bad. Scotty Ray was like, she stuck me. What did she say? She got me with this one.
That's why I just summarized. Not literally, I didn't summarize it. I just was just like, I'm like Brian, there's just the adjective. We'll leave it there. We won't go into detail.
Right. I mean, anymore, it's just
because
an open game.
I have more ramifications.
Webster defines love as.
Webster's.
It was perfect. You guys are perfect.
But, how do you define love?
How do I? So my love, my definition of love, it's always like changing and moving, right? Because I think it's this evolution, it's this river. And right now, as I sit in it, it's peace. That's what love means to me. Like the first thing I think of today is just a sense of peace and fulfillment. That's what love means to me right now in this moment.
Very nice. Yeah, absolutely.
Now you can message me later today and it might be a totally different answer.
Yeah.
Who the hell is this? Leave me alone. Stalkers. You've had your time. You're done.
New phone. Who is?
Block.
See, you've done it already.
Where are you going?
You just don't know yourself.
Oh, you guys are awesome. Bring it home.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
Bring it home with something amazing.
All right.
Hey, Rick.
You can tell them all that I'm a motherless cowboy, baby. I'm a king, I'm a head out west. You call me quick, the street in the big press. But let's do the deals. You like Glenn, buy a low top, buy pants, you rocking up and down, you block. Follow the skies, watch slide, right, right down with the flag, say June low. Ride that bitch up and down the coast. Hit the coast, keep the sun, break through the stars. Roll in the mix, toss down bars. Do you wanna? I'm looking better by the come back home. I guess do it first. You want the right beat and set up shop, high top for 4 seasons. Get rockin' out the blue boy. I'm headed out west. Because I'm going to cowboy with the top of the back in the sunshine shining.
Sunshine is shining. Yeah. I said we have more.
You guys are amazing. Round of applause. I love it. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your heart and how you think and the ins and outs and answering all my crazy questions. You guys do rock. And for everybody else out there, love hard, love pure, and love proactive. Until next time.